easily spent six figures on info products and coaching and mastermind groups in the last 3 or 4 years. Easily. I mean, I have one program I'm involved in that cost me $10 grand a year. I have coaches that cost me $500 an hour. I buy $2,000 to $3,000 courses on sometimes a damn near weekly basis. Okay. There's always this big box of shit landing at my front door from the UPS driver. My wife always gives me the look, like, oh, well, what's he buying now, But what's cool is that it's a return on investment. I know that most personal trainers and most of my competition are not willing to go invest at this stuff. They actually look at this stuff as a loss, like it's an expense. Like, wow, there's no way I'd go spend $2,000 on some course like that. I don't look at it like that. I know if I spend $2,000 on that course, and that course gets me 2 clients, right, that I know an average client to me is worth $2,500. So if I get 2 clients, I just made $3,000 because I get $5,000 for 2 clients, and if I paid $2,000 for the course, just if I only get 2 clients from what I learned from that course, I just made $3,000. But typically, a lot of courses can end up getting me a hell of a lot more business than that. And a lot of times in an entire course, it might just be 1 or 2 things that I learned that really make me a ton of money. But I can look back at almost every single course I've bought and spent so much money on that I learned this one thing from that course and this thing from that course. And a lot of this stuff will pay itself off like 100 times over. I mean, it's really, it's crazy. And it's very comforting for me to know that I'm willing to spend this kind of money on this stuff and that a lot of my competition isn't. I mean, at first, man, I even like maxed out credit cards and, was willing to like go into debt to learn this stuff because I knew the payoff would be huge. There is a key to it though. Not only do you have to buy the stuff, you also have to take the saran wrap off it or the wrap off it, bust in, go through the course, spend an hour or 2 a day learning this shit, and then you have to go apply it because it's not going to do you any good sitting there in your closet. If you belong to a membership site, it's not going to do you any good if you don't go in that thing on a weekly basis and go through the content. So I definitely say invest in info products. It's one of my biggest secrets, man. Info products, mastermind groups, coaching, networking. Man, invest in all that stuff. Look at it as an investment. Dig into the content. Actually use the content. Put time aside every single day to go through the stuff. And I can tell you how I get through so much stuff if you want. It's really pretty simple. And then apply what you learn.
Yeah, that's good advice. Me, myself, I'm doing that right now. I'm buying a whole lot of stuff. And, some of my friends, they think that if they buy that stuff, it's like a magic bullet. But, there's no such thing as something for nothing. I'm actually a member of your Market Annihilator program. And, well, for those of the listeners that don't know what that is, it's a whole lot of instructions on how to get your website to rank high in Google, how to market your website online. And there's a lot of work involved. And I just want to cover kind of a different subject. The one thing that I'm reading a lot about right now is for personal trainers to outsource a lot of stuff concerning their website or the stuff that doesn't make them any money but still needs to be done. Now, this is kind of like a personal question too. Like if you really have no money to outsource, let's say article writing, or you want to optimize pages for certain cities, what would you recommend? For that trainer?
Well, one is the trainer has to learn what's got to get done. So you can't outsource something if you don't know what needs to be done. If you don't know how to have an optimized article for the search engines or how to get links for the search engines or how to have blog posts written for you or articles written for you or, any of this kind of stuff that can get very tedious. If you don't know how it's going to get done, you can't just give it to someone and say, here, do this. Because, 99% chance they're going to do a horrible job and you're not going to be happy with what they do. So the key is, first of all, you have to learn what's got to get done. Then what I would do is create step-by-step systems for implementing that to your business. So if you learned how to build links to your site, right? Building the proper links is one of the, the most important things of getting high in the search engines. Are actually all these other sites linking to your sites and what their sites are about and what their links say about your site and what pages they link to on your site. This stuff is super important. But you can't just tell someone, hey, go get me some links. You actually have to learn how to do it yourself and then what I would do is create a little video of step-by-step how to do it. If you have a Mac, I would go by ScreenFlow. If you have a PC, I would go by Camtasia. I would make step-by-step screen capture videos showing someone exactly how to do what you need to get done. Then, if you're a personal trainer or boot camp instructor or whatever, I would go find, and you don't have enough money where you can't afford to pay someone to do this, I would barter this stuff out. In my business, typically we have 4 or 5 barter clients. There were times where I've had 8 or 10. One of my good buddies, Zach Hunt, I think he has like 12 or 13 barter clients. He has one barter client who all she does is goes and finds more barter clients for him. And basically, you know, if you train groups of people, it's a pain in the ass if you do one training. But if you train groups of people, like semi-private training, small groups, or if you do boot camps, okay, well, let's say you do small groups and you want to train a lot of time, right? If you have 5 people paying you, what's the hurt if you have one person there not paying you, but she's out getting you links or she's out writing you articles, okay? And you can a lot of times find these guys on Craigslist under the barter section is a great way to find them. And like I said, Zach, he actually has one girl who her whole job is to post ads on the barter section of Craigslist and to set appointments with him with people who will barter and to manage all that barter stuff. And that's a girl that he barters with, okay? So I would barter it out. Now, do know, well, one, when you deal with people on Craigslist, there's a super high flake factor. And also, when you're dealing with people on a barter basis, there's also a super high flake factor. So my experience has been about only like 1 in 5 people are going to work out really well. That's why the videos are handy, so you're not wasting your time training the people on what to do. You're not sitting down showing them for 2 hours. You're just handing them a video and goes, hey, do exactly what that video says. You know, that makes it a lot easier to manage your time. But if over the course of, 6 months you go through 50 people, you're going to end up finding those 10 good ones who are really going to work for you to get those 10 tasks done. And if you train groups or boot camps, 10 people, that's awesome. And hey, those 10 guys might even get you some referrals too, help you bring in some paying clients. So I think that's one key with it. And then do remember, you get what you inspect, not what you expect. So if you tell someone to do something, I would set a day a month, a day a week, a certain time on a regular basis where you go in there and you just kind of look over what's been done. Because my experience has been, even the really good people are going to screw up 20% of your stuff. But you have to go on a regular basis and check it out and make sure it's done right, because otherwise it's going to be just a giant mess.
Right.
So you got to keep an eye on it, and I would systematically work that into your schedule. So that's a big key on outsourcing. I mean, unless you want a business, I don't want to be a 75-year-old personal trainer. I mean, yeah, I'd love to be working out when I'm 75 and maybe train a couple people if I feel like it, but I don't want to have to. I don't want to be like some old dude who has to get up at 4:45 in the morning because my whole business relies upon me. My whole business relies upon me showing up at that gym, okay? That would suck. So the key is to get a business that's based on systems. And there's a real simple formula for this. Every entrepreneur, everyone who owns a business, so if you own a boot camp or a personal training business, you wear 3 hats, okay? And this is from Michael Gerber, the book, You wear 3 hats. You wear the technician's hat, which would basically be doing the personal training. It would be like signing the person up in a lot of instances. It might be writing up their workouts, writing up their nutrition program. You also wear the management hat, which is scheduling the workouts, making sure they get billed, making sure you get paid, customer service, administrative stuff. And then you also wear the entrepreneur's hat, which is coming up with the marketing strategies and campaigns, the overall vision of the company, the systems and strategies to get everything done. And most personal trainers spend all of their time in the technician's hat and the management hat, running around doing a lot of the busy work, and they don't spend any time with the entrepreneur's hat on. And for me, I personally like to spend, as damn near close to 100% of my time with the entrepreneur's hat.